So this is my presentation that I used recently in the 2011 Eco Summit Day. They're very similar, my presentations and talks, but I'm usually tailoring them to the schools, colleges and universities that want me to be there, and that's generally in line with sort of what they've been running that term. For example, this is an Eco Summit Day, so I'm going to be using kitesurfing in this one to really use it as a tool to talk about renewable energy and thinking eco. So straight away I really like to get the kids' attention by playing video. I think it's one of the best ways. Now with these videos I can really show how it feels through my eyes to be kitesurfing. I like to talk about how I'm kitesurfing with my friend and it's really windy and I'm out in the elements, and it's a very good thing for you to be out in the elements. It's good for your soul and spirit, and that it's a healthy thing for you to be doing. It's also a really good time for me while I play these clips to tell them, oh, look how fast I'm going there, and there's waves I'm riding in, and I'm doing all of this for free. I really like that message that this isn't costing me anything. I've got the equipment of course, but I can be out there all day if I want. No one can stop me. I'm tapping into a resource which is brilliant, and it's just always there. This is one of my favourite shots where I jump into the air. They love the thought of flying. They really get excited about that clip. Now I've really got their attention, I can start delivering the messages that I want to. And to start with, I talk about how kitesurfing is getting really big, and that it's so easy to do everywhere in the world because there's wind everywhere in the world, and if there's sea, kitesurfing is becoming quite popular. And I like to talk about the kitesurfing kites at this point. I ask them if they've ever seen any of them, and most of them have these days, especially where I live. And I can actually point to the kite that I've brought with me to the workshop, show them how it works slightly, and explain how the kite's inflated with air. I can pull the valve out so air rushes out. It's quite interactive, and it's really good for them to touch it and see it. I can explain about the different sizes of it as well. And then sometimes I like to add how, like, the reasons why it's inflated. I might have to hint about a lilo maybe, that why would the kite be inflated? It's to float when we crash it, that sort of thing. It's a good little debate. I'll show them a few more clips of pictures, if you like, where I've been in the world. Cape Town, Bulgaria. Another shot of Cape Town. This one's a great one because I talk about the dolphins and sharks and seals that I've seen, and the fact that kitesurfing is not just about tapping into renewable energy, it's about being out with nature and being in the elements. It's a shot of me competing. Another shot in Mexico. This one really does show how accessible kitesurfing is. The shot of Egypt with the camel. If they hadn't really picked up on how you can kitesurf around the world, then this shot really does help them with that. Venezuela. Another shot of Mexico. And the next part of the talk is kind of an inspirational piece where I found when I grew up that a lot of people were bad talking where you live and there's nothing to do here and they're bored. So I really like to kind of surprise them. I ask them where they think the best place to kitesurf is, and of course I can adapt this to anywhere I'm performing the assembly really, because I know it'll be windy there. But where I live I like to talk quite highly of, so I ask them where they think the best place is, and they're often firing answers back at me like Hawaii, Cornwall, Scotland. And I say, well, it's always windy, you can kitesurf through the year, there's nice people, lovely beaches. And I show them, actually tell them it's Worthing, the place that they're living in, and they're really amazed. They almost don't believe me that it can be that good. So I like to then talk about how it's okay to not really know what you're doing at school, but try and stay positive, try and be passionate about something, get involved in something, and you never know where it will lead you. You know, all this is happening right in their hometown, all this kiting, all these pictures of where I am, the things I'm doing have all come from me just having a passion in something. This is an exceptionally nice picture because I get to mention that I'm not the only person using the wind, that the seagulls also flying and using the wind too. Now I need to get their attention a bit more before I deliver the important messages, eco messages, that I'd like to in my workshop. So again, I use video. I really find video keep referring to it, but it's just great to show them. So I talk about what I've learnt with kiting and how I've learnt to jump big. And this is 5 years ago in Egypt. I learnt to jump really high in the sky. And then I talk about my biggest stunts. And of course I have to tell the kids, don't try this at home, this is for extreme professionals like myself. But this is a great shot because it really shows them how much power is in the wind. Like, I'm hardly moving there, and then as soon as I send the kite across the window, bang, right up and over, and they really are amazed by that. This is really slowly starting to get their attention. And I show them also the clip of Brighton. And the whole time I'm showing them these clips, they're kind of asking me, why have you done this? Why are you doing this? And it's quite nice to explain that I'm on the same level as them. We're all one, we're together, and I'm using kitesurfing as my tool to raise awareness for wind energy. Just as they're at an Eco Summit Day trying to promote good things, I'm doing it with my kitesurfing. And that's really my message with these jumps. So once I've showed them these videos and I've really got their attention, I can start really delivering important messages. And I really like to talk about what is eco. I think the students and young people are often taking part in these eco things, eco this, eco that, but what actually is eco? And I find the following sentence brilliant for that. Eco is short for ecology, the relationship between humans, us and our activities, and how they affect our environment, our planet. So it's just quite simply clearing up to those that might be a bit confused. It's about us and our planet. When we describe something as being eco-friendly, we mean something that we can use or do that won't damage our environment or that will help us live in a more sustainable way. This leads great to the next slide where I say, look, is this eco, guys? And they often say, well, no, it isn't. Straight away, we've got a debate going, and I say, well, why is it not eco? And they'll reply, some of them will say, well, it's polluting the environment. And then we kind of narrows it down to guessing what the energy might be used to produce there, and we'll be saying coal and fuel and oil and things like this. And then we come to the conclusion that the reason why this stuff is bad is because we don't have much of it, the fossil fuels, and we're running out, and it's not good. So I move on to the next clip quickly about this, and I say, does anyone know what this is? They all seem to know what solar power is now, nearly all of them. And most of them know what wind energy is about too. And I go straight into the next slide quite quickly, and I ask them, is this eco? And nearly all of them say no. Every time they say no. So I bring in the next image, say, what about with this? And this is where it gets interesting. It's probably the favourite part of mine of the whole workshop, is that the class is usually divided between what kids, I think, believe as they grow up with electricity comes from a bad source of energy. So then I can actually go back and say, well, what if the electricity came from the wind turbines? And then we have a good chat about it, and about if the car is biodegradable. We talk about that if they don't know it. And in general, I usually finish the workshop here. Sometimes I hand out exercise sheets with circle the eco sport, or if they're a bit older, we just play a game where we shout out the eco sport. So I get them started with windsurfing and kite surfing and maybe football, and their guesses will be, pretty straightforward ones: football, rugby. I try to get them to think a bit more about using the environment, so like snowboarding, surfing, and I throw in a few trick ones like skydiving and jet skiing, things like that, where they might think it might be a sport, but unless you look at how people are using the energy, you don't know. And at this point we go outside and use my small kite, because I think it's good for them to feel the energy. It's okay looking and listening to me, but it's even better for them to feel.